Guys, before we start this particular episode, the first 17 minutes of this is my face blurry, like I am in witness protection. But as soon as 17 minutes hits, my face clears up. I forgot to turn on autofocus. But the other side is I didn't want to completely scratch this episode and start from anew because there's so many cool nuggets that I wanted to share in this particular video. And also it gives me another opportunity to share another lesson that you don't have to be perfect to start. You just need to start. And along the lines of messing up, you're just going to get a little bit better. So hopefully you guys like this episode. Don't worry, my face doesn't stay blurry that long. I'll see you guys soon. Peace. All right, guys, starting a company from ground up is one thing, but buying an existing company and then leading it to be profitable and to be successful is an entirely different thing. And today I got a guy with me. He's been in the professional baseball world for quite a long time. And now he's in this acquisition type of model where they're buying companies, building it up for it to sell, which I think is very cool because I'm in this space right now in my career, not necessarily to sell, but I want to build it to be of value for the legacy. So today I got a guest with me. I got David. Dude, I almost forgot your name. My fault, man. So welcome, dude. I'm pumped that you're here, and I wanted to kind of go over what this whole concept is like because this is moving forward. If I wanted to buy other companies or if I wanted to start more companies, I don't think I'll start from ground up.
Yeah. I mean, taking on the ownership of a business and taking on its operations, it's very challenging, but there are a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
Mainly the the real value comes from taking what they already have and just making it better.
Yeah. Well, I want to start here because you've told me we've had some conversations where this is not your first one that you've acquired. You've acquired so many.
Well, not me personally.
Yeah, not you personally, but you've been part of those areas. I couldn't imagine going into a facility, no one knows me, and then everyone just kind of hates your guts.
Yeah.
So run me through what that's like because you've done it multiple times now. What's your strategy going into it? Because at some level that a few people will leave or a few people will dislike you. What's your strategy going into a new environment?
Well, the strategy has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, it was very hard for me to deal with the constant pushback and, people just, acting out or, not wanting to change, not wanting help.
Yeah.
But my company actually did this really cool thing where we had basically a summit about change.
Beautiful.
And, they talked to us about the change curve. I don't know if you've ever heard about the change curve. It's this big graph. It's been around for hundreds of years.
Teach me. Yeah, I want to know it.
And the first section of the change curve is the shock.
Yes.
You come into this business. I walk into a medical clinic. I'm 6'5", wearing scrubs. Everyone's like, Who is this guy? Never met him, never spoken with him. Mm-hmm. So I understand it can be intimidating for people.
He's like my new boss.
Yeah, essentially, because it's even, the person, the one I'm at right now, the manager there has been there for 25 years.
Right.
And, she's been doing a great job. She's been doing the best that she can. And it's nothing against her that, they wanted help.
Yes.
It's, they were profitable. They just want to be more profitable.
Right.
And not only more profitable, but we want to help more people and, have, in your case, customers, in our case, patients, but, we want them to have a better overall experience as well.
Right.
So, it's not always just about the numbers,
Yeah.
And I think
quality of life.
I don't want to get off topic because I want to talk about what you asked, but
yeah.
For your case, like customer service, for our case, like patient experience,
exactly.
Like it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about the company. It's really about the the consumer in your sense, or the person working out, or about the patient, or about the people. Like,
Yes.
you treat them well, and it comes full circle. Because like when you want to sell a company, it's really easy to be short-sighted. Like, I want to boost the profits up. I want to essentially put my company on steroids, sell it, and then it's not really
profitable.
It's not. Well, it is profitable, but it's not like you sold it to be.
Yeah.
Because you were just pumping it for 3 or 4 years, where it's like you really want to look at the long-term success of something and like build a stable, functional, just really sound.
Dude, this is what happened into the company that I used to work for.
Yeah.
Big global fitness gym. And the way they boosted up their numbers was they cut the commissions of all of the trainers by like 50%.
Yeah.
So
margins went way up.
And they were like, oh man, the value of the company must be better. But here's the sad part. As soon as they did that, half of the staff left because they realized they could have just done it on their own and took a much larger margin. So they lost all that talent, and they didn't get the sell because it started to plummet as soon as they made those adjustments. They just wanted to inflate it to sell it, which is spot on. It's like you can inflate it that way, but I like how you go into these companies. You're not only making the margins and profitability larger, the patient experience is better, and that's also what's generating even more revenue.
Exactly. And that's how you have to look at things. And like my company, the company I work for, they are extremely extremely generous. We try to pay everyone what they deserve and more, what they want to make. We want our employees to want to work there.
Right.
No one leaves our company because they're not, they don't feel
taken care of.
Yeah, exactly. And we have programs within our company. We have leadership programs. Anyone can join, or you can get on a Zoom call. You can talk to, people with years of experience, like very high level, very high IQ people. People that are just willing to help, willing to give you knowledge. So it's, we have a great model going, and I'm glad just to be a part of it, honestly, because it's helped me, who, I never thought I would be in this world. I never thought I would be, basically mentored by close friends who are extremely successful.
Yeah. Scary successful sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, and they're just great people. And it's from day one, they've always talked about how you have to take care of the people that work for you.
Yeah.
Like you have to take care of the people.
Here's something that I wanted to clarify, because I think what makes you extremely successful and what's also navigated this position of where you are, I know you said it's not your company, but you take so much ownership in what you do. And I know that from like just knowing who you are, training you in the mornings, and you really take ownership on a lot of these things. And I tell people, it's like, if you want to become an owner, you have to have an ownership mentality. Everything's on you. Everything falls on you. Like, were you always like that one, or was it?
No, I wasn't always like that.
Okay.
I mean, I felt like it took me until the last couple of years, because before I felt like I was just, a role player. Like, just tell me what to do, give me a goal, and I'll do it. I didn't think my sight was short-sighted.
Yeah.
I was tasked. Give me a task, I'll do it. Give me another task. Give me another task. Give me another task. Well, now I was put into a position where I can't look at things like that anymore. Even though it's how I believe I operate optimally. Like, I believe I'm good. You give me a task, I'll get it done.
Right.
But I just don't have that luxury to sit back and just take things one at a time, because that's just not reality. Things just pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm calling you at 5 a.m. or we're working out at 5 a.m. and, we have our whole IT goes down.
Yeah.
And you have no internet for 24 hours. You don't have internet for 24 hours at a place where I'm at, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars lost.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's go time.
Yeah.
Calling in the National Guard.
You de-stress me out a lot of times, bro. For the numbers you're playing, and I'm like, oh gosh, I can't pay this vendor this week, and it's like X amount of dollars, and then you throw these numbers. I was like, man, why am I even freaking out? This guy over here is.
I mean, it's just a different world. You know, the medical space is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so much money in every aspect, from pharmaceutical to orthopedic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a whole different world, and I knew nothing about it, you know, until 3 or 4 years ago, and it's like,
you're like, whoa, there's this whole separate field.
Well, the thing is that, you know, like I know so many athletes and ex-athletes that go into medical sales, you know, medical sales, like, but I'm not a salesman. I'm not good.
Yeah.
I can't just sit there and blindly sell things and just, you know, I'm in an operating room with a spinal implant, you know, and I
care about these people.
Yeah, it's hard for me to just I don't know, just I'm not a sales guy. I couldn't do it. I've done sales jobs, and you know, I made some good sales, but it was basically just relationship building. You know, I just built relationships with people, and you know, that was it. I wasn't really, if they wanted to buy it, they could buy it, but I wasn't the best salesman.
But when you go into these companies, here's what's crazy. You don't seem like a salesperson, but you go into these companies and you exit, right? You do like, you 10 exit, you 20 exit, you 30 exit. And while you're not very you're very similar to me. I care about people. But you put people that care a lot about just the customer service in general, the revenues go up. And I think there's different versions of selling, and the way you sell is customer service.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about service, but the way I really sell is I go into these practices, and, you know, a lot of the times they're not working to their potential. You know, they don't have the foot on the gas. Everyone's kind of in cruise control. Everyone is, you know, what can I get away with? How can I cut corners?
Yeah.
You know, and then when you have someone come in who's in a leadership role, and they're doing all the little things, you know, they're not cutting any corners. They're showing up early. They're staying late. They're working the front desk. They're, you know, doing all the jobs that, you know, we could find someone to do for, you know, a low hourly minimum, you know, but I'm doing all of these jobs.
That has to be pretty impactful when you show up that way, because you don't need to do that.
No, you don't need to do that, but it largely reduces that instant shock of when you walk in. Like, if I just walked in, was a dictator, and was like, you're doing this now, no ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah. And that's happened before. We've done that at a place, and it did not work well. Yeah. There was basically the whole staff quit. It was a mutiny. Day one, everyone left. So I was working the front desk, and I was rooming patients, and I was a surgical tech that day. And for the next 3 months, I was in surgery every day. Yeah. Handing tools to the surgeon, you know. And I mean, and it was a great experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But I mean, then I'm going home and doing stuff on my computer for 5 hours because, you know, and there's really no work-life balance at that point. But, you know, I shot myself in the foot. Yeah. Not me personally, but we shot ourselves in the foot as the team. And that was really difficult because it took basically 3 months to get that practice back on its feet to where, you know, we could actually hire staff, train a staff, you know, get everyone highly functional on the verbiage and, you know, knowing what to do. So
how did that affect your health? Because now you went into this like instant shock mode. You were like, my whole team left. I'm doing every single job.
Yeah, I mean, it's managing stress, and it's hard. I mean, the hard part about that, you know, is I'm away from home all the time. So, you know, it's hard to have a consistent gym to go to, you know, grocery store. You just don't know. I mean, I don't want to make excuses, but it's just, you know, it's hard managing all of that, especially if you've never done it before. Yeah. So, it can be really difficult. And that's kind of why when I came from that practice to the next practice, I was like, never again. Can't do that again.
You found a gym first. I feel like.
Yeah, I was doing my research.
Here's the thing about you. You're so and guys, if you don't know David, he's extremely already, I feel like, knowledgeable on the fitness side and knowledgeable on the health side. But you decided to just completely delegate it. You're like, listen, I have all these things that I'm responsible for. The last thing I really want to think about doing is just my fitness. Can you just get me there?
Yeah.
And you've completely almost created this. I mean, you did your research. Your send it level is very similar to mine. It's like, I'm just going to research a little bit and then I'm going to send it. So you did that. I think one of the underlining things when you're acquiring that, number one, we just touched up on, was leading by example initially. Just to like, guys, I'm in the trenches with you. And I think for me, if you're trying to lead me, I'm like, this guy he's cleaning the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'll clean the bathroom too.
I've done that a couple times.
Yeah.
Or and throw up. I've seen it all. I've cleaned it all.
Yeah, and then you go right into delegation mode, which I think is also another version of leading by example. You're at your capacity. You show that. You're like, hey, dude, I need help on this. Is that your strategy? You go into it first, leading by example, max out your capacity, and be like, guys, I need some help. Can someone do this now? What's after the leading by example component?
So after that, I basically look at the people working, and I want to optimize, what they're best at. If we have a really bubbly person and they're great with people, great personality, I probably want them to be the first person a patient sees when they walk in.
Right.
She might be an MA, she might not want to work the front desk, but I'm going to have a talk with her and I'm going to say, this is what I think the clinic would benefit from the most. I think you would be great up here.
Yeah.
If you still want to do this, we can figure out a way for you to do both and maybe, have a little rotating schedule. But like, I'd really love if you could try it out.
And then what ends up happening?
She ends up doing it and she ends up loving it.
Interesting.
I mean, and it's not only, the thing is like, personally, I like everyone to be kind of cross-trained.
Right.
So I want everyone to be able to do pretty much every job. That way if someone calls out sick or, there's, a family emergency or anything like that, anyone can kind of pick up the slack. And that's personally, I think that's what's translated from baseball into the world is the teamwork thing where I want everyone to be able to do every job. This is a team. Yeah. And I feel like it's been hard for me because a lot of people don't understand the whole team thing.
Environment, yeah.
So I show up and I'm like, this is a team. And they're like, this isn't a team. Like, those are the MAs. This is this. We're the schedulers. We're on the insurance out there. And it's like, no, everyone's working together. We're only as good as the weakest link in this whole place. We're only as good as the weakest link.
This is so good. I wanted to touch up on that because, I feel like at the masteries of highest level, it bleeds into things that you didn't even think that was a thing. You're so accustomed to working at the highest level. You apply that and it grows. I consider baseball to be the top of the top of the top. You're in the pros. Okay. In intramurals, you got to do everything.
Yeah.
You got to catch, you got to do this. I was telling you, I was like, do you ever hit? And it was like, no, I don't hit at all. I'm a pitcher.
Yeah.
That's all I did. And it makes sense. And I'm starting to get into a phase in my life where I can no longer be the catcher and also the pitcher. Dude. But I'm finding myself now and just being in the presence. He's like, you can't do that anymore.
It's just, why spread yourself thin,
Yeah.
I mean, you want to it's all about optimization and, what you do best, you should do.
Yeah.
And what you struggle with, hire someone for it or find someone to do it or pass it on to a team member who might do it better than you.
So let's talk about the numbers on that. Because for me, I'm always freaking out. And you've probably seen a business owner who's like, but I'm gonna if I do that, I got to go pay somebody X amount.
Yeah.
How do you persuade someone like me to be like, just hand that off?
It's a big it's a big talking point whenever we come into a new clinic or a new practice, and the doctors are always very hesitant because we're saying, we're showing them all these numbers, and we're like, we basically show them numbers to prove that it makes sense. But
Right.
it's hard to tell them, hey, if you spend 25 grand a month on marketing, you know,
Yeah.
you're going to see an X amount larger flow of patient volume. I mean, and this is proven, and we have data and analytics. We have a whole data and analytics department, you know, running numbers and, you know, basically we track all of the marketing numbers in house. You know, put it on a spreadsheet, send it off. It's analyzed just to make sure that we're actually, you know, getting what we pay for. But
Right.
it's basically something that they push back on because they don't want to spend the money. And I personally was never, and before I got into this, I wasn't a big believer in marketing either because I'm always networking, and I'm always like, oh, I can market myself. I can go out, meet people,
Right.
you know, and just basically push business organically like that. But marketing is huge.
Dude, it's massive. I was that guy. If you told me to do that, I'd be like, no,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do all of it.
you have to.
So I'm moved by numbers. One, that's part of it. But now what moves me more is time. Like if you're like, hey Royce, you're spending, because I think I did the math. Like I was spitballing with you. I was like, dude, I just hired my first salesperson, and I did the math. 1 hour of calls. I did 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at night, and that's 2 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And you multiply that 365 times. That's 600 plus hours that I now freed up. And it's interesting. Sometimes just doing that, you free up the time, but then you also free up a new avenue, which is conversations like this or being able to train people that I want to train.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I don't have to do all those sales. I'm going to go train somebody I like to train.
Yeah. I mean, and, you know, you're also not a sales guy.
You tell me I'm not a sales guy?
No, you were pretty good on the phone when
Yeah.
I first called you.
But dude, I agree. There's a certain level of sales that I can maintain. I don't think I am like the sales.
Yeah.
I've seen people that they love that.
Yeah.
They love getting rejected.
Yeah. It's a rush.
Yeah. It drains me, man. I'm like, what do you mean you're not going to do this? You're going to die tomorrow. The sales guy is like, yeah, let's go. I'm going to call him again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to call him again tomorrow. Like I agree.
Yeah, and I've worked with some great salespeople, and it's just, it's almost like it's just you're born with it, or it's God given. I mean, these people are just meant to do sales, meant to talk on the phone. Not me.
They love that rush of just like being rejected, and then finding ways to like get back into the plate, and then being able to do it again.
Yeah.
So you have that team environment that has translated into kind of what you do now. What other parts of baseball you feel has translated into what you do now?
I think the long, like just working, like honestly, just working hard.
Yeah.
Working long days, long hours.
Yeah.
You know, I work 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes 12.
Yeah.
Honestly, more like 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Sometimes 14.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the days are long, but I'm used to that. I mean, if you go back to spring training, you know, you show up at 5 a.m. for spring training, and you know, you leave at 4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's, you know, yeah, there's a few meals in between and some stretching and some massages, but I mean, it's work.
Yeah.
You know, and the one thing that people don't realize about pro sports, baseball especially, is like when you're in the minor leagues, there's 0 days off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, there's a few sprinkled in there, but you know, you go months where there are no days off. Like,
Yeah.
You don't get a mental health day. I mean, I'm sure now you can get one, but there's, you know, there's not just, hey, I don't feel like it today. I'm not coming. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
And so I get into this, you know, work 5 days a week, and it's like, oh, that's nice. I get 2 days off, you know, like.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah, it feels great. So I feel like just that high work capacity, like work ethic, you know, transferred over into like the 9 to 5 life. I feel like that has really helped me because it doesn't, you know, an 8-hour day does not seem like a lot to me at all.
That's where the massive advantage is. And that I had to learn that the hard way because I had to reset my like I'm doing 3 of these a week.
Mm-hmm.
where an average person was like, just do 1 a week. I was like, dude, 1 a week is not going to get me any practice.
Yeah.
I want to go pro. I'm going to do 3 a week and then build up the repetitions and the reps and all of the mistakes that I've had. And you're seeing me now and I feel so comfortable. But dude, I was like the first few reps.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Dude,
yeah,
it's hard to get good if you're not putting in the time. And I think that's like one of the biggest things in terms of what professionals do is they put in so much work. The average person will not fathom the amount of time it takes to get really, 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 really good at something.
Yeah. Especially when you're not naturally good at it.
Yeah.
Because that's that's the hardest part for me is I always tend to lean towards things that I was already naturally good at. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I'm naturally good at this, so I'm going to be even better at it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I'm going to do something that I'm actually terrible at. I'm going to get really good at it. Like I feel like that's more of an accomplishment. You know what I mean?
It's huge.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, you were telling me this, we had that conversation. At any given point, was it ever hard for you? And it was like, dude, to be honest, it didn't even feel like that until later. Everything was just so easy, mm-hmm. which is really cool to me. One, because I had to do it the opposite way. Yeah. I was bad at everything. You were good at everything. Like transitioning from being good at everything and then all of a sudden, like, I'm really bad at this, right? What was that transition like for you?
Are you talking about baseball?
Baseball, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was hard because, you hear about this all the time, but, you're in high school, right? Yeah. And you're the best player or one of the best players in the region, mm-hmm. And then I went to ASU, we were a top 5 team in the nation. Mm-hmm. And every kid on the team was the best player in their region. Mm-hmm. So now you're around 35 guys who were just as good, if not better than you.
Yeah.
And they have all the same stats. They hit all the same home runs. They all throw 95. Yeah. And you're like, wow. Okay. I guess I'm really not that good, Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like now it's time to get even better.
Yeah.
So then you have college to do that. And then you get drafted. And now there's 200 guys in your organization from all over the world, not just the United States. And there's a 17-year-old who's better than you. You're 23 and you're sitting there, you feel like a grandpa now.
Yeah.
And they're calling you the old guy.
Yeah, I'm 23, dude.
I'm 24 years old and they're calling me the old guy. Mm-hmm. And you have it's a wild experience, but it's just it's the higher you go in the levels, it just speeds up. The game speeds up so much. And I'm sure it's like that in the corporate world as well. The higher you go up, everyone you talk to is probably just, better versed and higher IQ and just extremely high functioning. Yeah. And you got to be on your toes constantly.
Oh my gosh.
Otherwise,
I'm just reeling what you just said there because I think it's worth to note. The higher the game goes, the more it speeds up. I always talk to my wife and I'm like, when does this thing slow down? And now you just reset it for me. Mm-hmm. I think that's why it's so valuable for you to just spend time with different people because I do feel like it's speeding up for me.
It's never gonna slow down unless you stop.
So how do you manage the speed then? Just
in life or it's just. Part of it is reps, right?
Yeah.
Like the longer you're in this high.
Yeah.
This high game. Mm-hmm. And it's so fast. It starts to slow down for you because it's just you're getting used to it. You're getting comfortable again.
Yeah.
But every jump you take, it's just like it just ramps up exponentially.
Yeah. Dude, you're gonna like this. I don't know if you're a snowboarder. Do you snowboard?
I've never been. No, I'm going to the snow today though.
Yeah, but you're about to go to Charleston today. But I think it was Tony Robbins, and he talked about the Black Diamond. Mm. And if you ever see, it's like straight down.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the correlation. When you start to speed up, you can't. you can't just like partly commit. You got to go all in.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm going all in on pro. I want to go pro as much as I possibly can, because if you lean back, disastrous things can happen. Like you're going to start rolling, you're going to start hitting trees. And he talked about just lean in. And when you lean into it, it slows down and you're able to see things differently. And dude, nice reset in expectation. Thank you for sharing that with me, because I thought it was going to slow down. It hasn't slowed down. It only sped up.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the business world, the only way it can really slow down is if you take a step back, right, and maybe give the responsibilities to somebody else, or but
it speeds up again when you delegate, though.
It will speed up. Yeah, it'll speed up again when you delegate. It'll speed up again when you get bored and want to do something else. Mm-hmm. It'll speed up again when you start a new company, when you start a new gym, when you have a new hobby or a new venture. It's going to speed up again.
I love it. And
the more you grow too, I mean, more employees you have,
mm-hmm.
every time you hire a new employee,
just
add another hour out of your week, or you gotta work, you gotta train, you gotta answer phone calls.
It just adds, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And I think that's the space I'm in right now. And I noticed that with you as well. How do you manage just knowing, because we were just talking about this, like I asked you, like, what was one of the hardest things to transition from being this professional baseball player? How many seasons did you play?
2015, like 3.5.
3.5 seasons,
mm-hmm.
right? Like transitioning that from civilian life. And you said something to me and I was like, I never thought of that. And it was like the caloric intake going from like 10,000 calories a day to eating like 2.
Yeah, that was a huge struggle for me, because just being able to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, all the time, and not gain or really lose any weight, mm-hmm. or just if you needed to put on weight, like just eat more and do less, and it wasn't a problem. Where it's like, now it's, if I don't go work out, I'm getting maybe 4,000 steps a day. And if I want to eat 3 or 4 meals, it's like, I gotta work out.
Dude, I don't think they talk about that in the professional world that much.
They don't. And I see so many guys who come out of baseball or come out of football or any college sports. Because in college you have, you get done with weights and there's a fridge of, Rock and Refuels and Muscle Milk. And it's like, take as many as you want. And you're throwing them in your bag. And, you're drinking, 200 grams of protein in an hour.
Right.
And just because you can.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then you go to the food hall and it's a buffet.
Exactly.
There's everything you could want.
Yeah.
I mean.
But you're also training like 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
4 hours a day.
Well, that's another thing is you have weights, for an hour straight. Then you have running, and then you go to practice. Practice is 6 to 8 hours. They tell you it's 3, but it's actually,
Dude, and that's the coaches that I have more respect for is the ones that were in the professionals at one point, and then they're still in decent shape.
Yeah.
Like we see so many high school coaches that were like D1, they were in the pros, and then they're like, dude, you're telling me to run this?
Yeah.
I just saw you huffing and puffing on the staircase.
Yeah.
How can I listen to you? And I judged them for so long, but what I didn't realize was they were like you. They were eating 10,000 calories, no problem. Shifting from 10,000 to 2,000 is a big jump.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, now I get it. That's why I'm doing part of this podcast. There's going to be a lot of coaches that are going to be X whatever.
Yeah.
Pro, X, I don't know, SEALs. They go into that and they go into civilian. And if they just understood this little concept of like, dude, you just gotta, going into this next transition, you're gonna have to eat a little bit less. And you have to somehow create that same environment that you were having at one point to be able to be effective.
Yeah.
I don't think they talk about that.
They don't. The thing is when you're in it, they don't like to talk about when you're out.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people look at it like that's a bad mindset to have.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to be realistic.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be realistic? Because being a pro athlete isn't realistic.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, we're not talking about what ifs. You know, what if we don't make it? What if we fail? And actually, like, I had some, like, my mom, you know, she would always tell me, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You know, but
you did.
And I did. I did. You know, she's told me a lot of things that I didn't do, but to me,
listen, if you're trying to lose weight, but you're just frustrated because you just can't seem to see any results, we would love to help you out. Now, we've been helping thousands of our athletes over the course of a decade by crafting personalized programs that are not only sustainable, but also effective. Now, if you're ready to transform your health, click on the show notes below, book a call with one of our coaches. We'd love to help you out. Now back to the show. Peace.
I mean, looking back on it, knowing that I didn't take my career to the highest of the highest and have a long MLB career and all these things, it's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have put all my eggs in one basket.
Right.
But then again, it's like, if you really do want something, like, you know, you can't knock someone for doing that, right?
Right.
Like, you know, you put all your eggs in one basket because that's what you want to do. That's your goal.
Yeah.
I didn't have a fallback plan.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have a what if. I didn't even want to think about what if.
I think there's a lot of athletes like that. But then, dude, but when you put in all your things in one basket, you see these principles that transfer to every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, like I didn't play in the professional like space, but dude, I was a good gamer.
Yeah.
I was an awesome gamer. Like you put Call of Duty in my hands or first person shooter in my hands, on top of the top. And then I started to realize there's principles like communication. Like I couldn't get that far on the leaderboard if I didn't communicate to the other guy. And also like not egg him on and be like, hey, you're trash. You know, you're only going to get so far.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, listen, man. And the communication side of things were changed. We called them call outs. And then it was consistency. It was collaboration. And also be like, dude, you did great that game. And then that transferred into where I'm at now. So I think there is an advantage to putting your eggs in one basket, but just reframing it is where people lose. Like they didn't reframe the principles that got them there, like hard work, teamwork, specialization, leading by example, right?
I think it's just hard to deal with the initial failure or
shock.
Whatever. The shock, exactly. Yeah. It's like I just put all my eggs into one basket. That basket's gone. Mm-hmm. So now I have to put all my eggs in another basket.
Yeah.
You know, and start from scratch.
Yeah.
Start over.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, I think, because when I got done, I was like,
what do I do?
Yeah, what do I do? I don't like anything. The only thing I've ever liked in my whole life was baseball.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I knew. It was the only thing I liked. I didn't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to coach. I don't want to work in it, you know.
Yeah. So what do you do after the shock? Because we talked about what's after the shock curve.
After the shock curve, I believe is like the denial.
Okay.
Denial, confusion, pushback.
Okay.
And you know, we see that. It's so funny. At the place I'm at now, they had an employee who, you know, was not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Wouldn't even look me in the eyes. Would not speak to me for weeks.
Yeah.
And I had no idea why. I mean, I knew why, but I was like, why? I was like, I'm trying to be so nice. I'm trying to be so helpful. Mm-hmm. You know, let me help you. What are you frustrated about? Like, you can talk to me. Just nothing.
Right.
And you know, and I gave her some time. You know, sometimes it just takes some time, just cool off. Then I spoke with her, you know, had some talks with her, you know, and she's the best employee we have.
Wow.
By far.
I mean, that denial phase.
It's just, I mean, the curve, it starts, everyone's going to push back. People don't like change.
Yeah.
You know, they're comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, they've been getting away with things, or they've been doing things a certain way, or, you know, everyone takes Fridays off, but no one knows. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Then you show up and they're upset. They're like,
yeah.
Why did things have to change?
Because here's the thing with change. Change, if you look at it in like the physics world, it generates heat, right? There's friction that's happening in that process. So it's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I think I've been in stages of denial when me and my wife would have arguments. And then I'm just in denial. She's like, no. She's like, one of the elements was like, you have to close one of these facilities down and we have to sell the house. And I'm like, no, we don't. No, we don't. We can just grind this out, keep losing about $15,000 a month, and we can do this. So I was in denial for so long, but she said it months ahead.
Yeah.
And then the moment I shifted that, I was like, I'm in. Let's do it. So what's after denial? So you accept that.
After the denial phase, I believe in the actual change curve it's called like confusion.
Okay.
Or like where the employees like they're unsure.
Okay.
Like which way they want to go. Like are we on board or are we not?
Yeah.
Type deal.
That's where the curiosity starts to happen. I guess.
Curiosity, confusion, kind of, they're like stepping out on the ice, kind of feeling it if it's stable or not. Just and and that's kind of where I feel like things. That's where you see the employees either leave or shine, go like this or you don't see them again.
How do you handle that? So like, do you ever like, dang it, or it's just part of the game? Like
I never like when people leave just because, I want people, if they find something better for them, then I'm happy for them.
Right.
But if they're putting themselves in a situation where now they don't have a job, or
Breaks
they're not
your heart.
making money. Yeah. Like myself and our company, we never put someone in a situation like that where they're just like, we're just like, oh, see you later.
Yeah.
Like that's not how we like to handle business because there's no one speaking ill about what we do because we really do try to take care of everyone.
Yeah.
But with that being said, hiring someone and getting to train them from the start.
Yeah.
They don't have any bad habits from what they were previously doing.
Yeah.
It can be a lot easier.
Yeah.
And the transition can be a lot smoother.
Dude, yeah, that's always been the toughest part for me, is seeing somebody go and they're doing worse.
Yeah.
And you're like, if they just stuck in the confusion phase for a little bit and then started to become curious on what I'm saying could potentially get them to the next level, they can experience a life that's different.
Yeah.
Now, in the event that they left me and they're doing something much greater and better, that's when I got to check myself. I'm like, man, maybe I really do got to change something. But yeah, like those are like the hardest decisions for me when I start to build a team, let alone acquire a brand new team and then see that happen. That's so huge. Okay, so after the confusion phase, when does the good stuff happen, man?
Right after that phase.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Right after that phase is the acceptance and and then the change curve it'll shoot up with the acceptance and then it'll flutter. You know, there's always going to be
downs and ups. Yeah,
always. But and there's so many variables. For instance, the business that I'm at right now, it's been there for 25 years.
Right.
It's had employees for 20 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
So these people.
That phase might be longer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And not only that, but the bigger the operation is, the longer it usually takes.
Interesting.
Just because, when there's only 3 to 5 people working somewhere, it's like, hey guys, like we're all gonna go to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this. Yeah. We're gonna bond. Let's learn about each other. What makes you tick, what makes you happy, and like let's set some goals and let's get to work. But then you go into a business with 40 employees. And you can't just go to dinner. You can't just say, hey, let's go have a small talk session at PT's.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. So it's like, hey, we got a section out of time of the day to talk to this group and this department and this department, and then and then we got to send a mass text out to everyone explaining on what we're gonna do. It's just it's so much more into it when it's not intimate.
Yeah. So I'm looking at like, because my next phase, I don't want to start anything ground up anymore. I think there's a lot more struggling gyms than gyms that are starting from ground up, that they would just rather have help.
Yeah.
I think there's way more of those.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of them were my good friends.
Mm-hmm.
They started it. They're 3 years, 4 years, 5 years in, and 10. Some of them 10 years in, and they fold. They're like, I'm out. So now I'm looking at it. I was like, okay, if I can acquire the one that's like only 2 years in, those might be a quicker transition time instead of something that's 10 years in.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's always variables, but from an employee standpoint, the ones that haven't been open as long would be easier transition.
Wow.
Most of the time. I mean,
yeah. I agree.
Yeah, but I mean, the gym space obviously is a little different, I think.
Yeah. But there got to be some correlations.
Yeah.
Because they haven't built enough culture, obviously, right? So it's like, or maybe they have.
Or maybe they have zero marketing.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, because when I don't know what you do for marketing, but when I searched up this gym, I mean, it was like the first one.
The only one that popped up.
It was
ironically, that's dude, we've been marketing for maybe the past 2 years.
Yeah. You know,
right?
And then like, you know, I'll be driving around and I'll see a gym, you know, and I'm like, that gym didn't pop up. I've never heard of that gym.
Yeah.
Like I looked in this area, you know what I mean? Like
it is. And dude, here's some low hanging fruit really quick, because I want to address this. Because I've had some marketing, did you have a level of respect for that person that showed that there was marketing? Like knowing that you're like, oh, this guy's actually marketing to me. They might be doing something right.
I mean, it just makes me realize that you're putting money into your business.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Where it's like, you know, other places it's like, well, if you're not going to put money into marketing, are you going to put money into your equipment? Are you going to, you know, because you have to spend money to take care of your consumer. I mean, you have to. It can't just be, you know, hey, we're going to go get this second-rate stuff and we're going to get all the cheap stuff and, you know, come in and enjoy.
Dude, I'm going to tell you, this is kind of just what's happened over the past 3 years. We've attracted more people like you. And I'm saying more people, but just more business affluent, more knowledgeable. I also want to call them not price sensitive.
Yeah.
Meaning they rarely just go like, it's too pricey.
Yeah.
They're just like, they get it. We've attracted more the moment I started turning on marketing because of that. And that's just a theory of mine. And I feel like there's a lot of businesses in my space. So if you guys are listening to this, that it's in this space and it's not marketing, you're losing people like David. You're losing people because they are realizing this at not even at a conscious level. It's a subconscious level.
Yeah.
And I've probably, at least for me, the things that I've bought and bought educational platforms, masterminds, they've been marketed. And there are probably other masterminds that don't market that just as good, but because it's there's this like level of respect. They're like, okay, they're betting on themselves. They must be doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm kind of a skeptical person too. So sometimes when I see marketing, I'm like, oh, is this like a marketing ploy or are they just, you know, is this short-sighted? Or are they just pumping numbers just to try to get clicks? Like, you know, but it's easy to tell once you look into it a little bit.
Dude, it's cool because you research it.
Yeah.
So you see the ad once. I call it ghost leads. They look at the ad and then they actually Google you and then they go in through it, what we call organically.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't organically. It was actually paid advertising that led to an organic lead.
Yeah.
Because they did so much research. And that's the stuff that I can't measure metrically, because we're only comparing the advertisement to the cash that's coming in from that lead. And that's where over the course of time, like some of the coaches are like, dude, you actually have to add those guys too, because how many organic leads did you really even get before even turning advertising on?
Yeah. Probably minimal.
Nothing, bro. Dude, it was nothing. It was all referral.
Yeah.
You know, which was but it's very, very, dude, I can't even, from the amount of marketing dollars we've spent, not even close to what you guys are spending, we've added so much more because of that. So I want to talk about the Xing of companies. So one, you go into a company. I know we can specifically talk about the medical side of it, but I feel like it does apply to fields like mine. But it also, I feel like it can apply to just the value of the exchange. They can be just moms and parents and teachers and doctors, right? That if they added some of these things, they can X their impact.
Yeah.
Because when we think about value, a lot of people just think about money, but that money is a representation of the value that's being exchanged inside that company. And people don't quite understand that. So the last part that I really want to go over is like, what are some low-hanging fruits that companies can probably do to make their company a little bit more valuable?
I think you focus on the people that work for you. First off, you take care of them, make sure they're happy, pay them well, give them insurance, give them opportunities for a 401k or an HSA or like a leadership program, or incorporate them somehow. Make it a family.
Yeah,
I think that's super important. And then second of all, customer service. Service based. It's got to be about your patient or your customer. It's got to be about them. It's not about the doctor. It's not about you. It's not about the clinic. It's not about the hours or the practice. It's about them. Wow. They need to have the best experience.
Yeah.
If they need a water bottle, we'll get them a water bottle. If they can't afford their medication, we'll pay for it. If they can't get a ride, I'll go pick them up. You know what I mean? You're
talking about your employees, yeah?
No, I'm talking about the patients.
The patients. Oh my gosh. Okay.
If they don't have a ride, I'll drive to Pahrump and pick them up, and they'll come, and then I'll take them back.
Wow.
Or I'll Uber them.
Okay.
I mean, and it's $50 for the business, but I mean, if that patient has a good experience, they write us a good review, or they tell a couple people about it, then that $50 has gone so far.
Dude, I want to touch up on some of those things. Because I know you're like, dude, it might be different for your field, but I think there's a lot of correlation. One of my mentors was like, initially, yes, take care of your customers. That is a low hand. You need to do that. You can't have a company if you're not serving your customers. But at some point, you shift your role from taking care of the customers and start taking care of your people. Your whole job is to create careers. Your whole job is to create a life for these people to have lives and actually have them go to vacation, take care, or have kids, proliferate, whatever that is. And I think you're hitting it spot on, because I'm in this space now where it's like, no, I do care about people, but now 80 to 90% of my focus is creating long-lasting careers. And when you focus on that, guess what? They serve more people.
They serve more people. The people they do serve have a way better experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds really simple, but it's really easy to get away from it and to focus on other things, because there is so much going on. But it's like, and this is kind of a baseball reference too, but it's like, let's go back to the fundamentals of just, taking care of people and treating them right.
Dude, that's why this is so scary. A lot of these things are so simple, it just goes underneath and no one even thinks it has to be complex somehow. But you go into these companies and you're like, dude, you just have to take care of your people. And if you take care of your people, they're going to take care of your customers, and your customers are going to take care of you.
Yeah. I've gone to a practice, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to the doctor, and he's like, we're really having a problem with tons of change, and staff's just rotating through, and we can't get people to stay. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Everyone here seems really nice. And I'm like, then I go and look, and the people at the staff are making probably 35% less than everybody else in the whole country.
Wow.
And you're sitting
Underpaid.
there, you're like, well,
you got to pay your people, man.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't create a living.
Yeah.
They're working probably Uber, where they probably, if they spent 4 hours actually just perfecting their craft, they'd be actually making more.
Yeah. So I think once you take care of, if you don't take care of people, they're not going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the younger generation is very attuned to that, whereas, you know, maybe my parents' generation, it's more like, you know, you're going to start here and you're going to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you can't live making this, you're still going to do it and prove yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like the younger generation's like, no, I'm not.
Dude.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like they'll go work on YouTube, or they'll go be an influencer. You know what I mean? It's just it's so different now.
Because they can make more money
Yeah.
that way. But I feel like it's short-sighted. They'll live something, or I could be wrong.
No,
They'll
I
just be
mean,
killing it all day.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really into that space, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people are making a lot of money online. So
I know, me too. Okay, so you touched up on just taking care of the employee. I wanted to there was because I feel like I'm trying to do that now. So one of the things that I do when someone comes in that I never used to do was, how much money do you need to make?
Mm-hmm.
At first it was all value driven, which is admirable, but I ran that way. I was like, let's just help as many people. Let's not care about profit. Let's not care about making money. Let's not care about margins. Now I'm actually on onboarding. I was like, how much do you need to make to survive? Right? What is that number? Let's put that number out. How much money do you feel like you need to thrive?
Mm-hmm.
And then how much money do you need to make where it feels like this is illegal? You know, and the numbers, dude, here's what's crazy, David. Some of them are so small.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, if I'm getting paid 60 to 80K as a trainer, I'd be like, what am I even doing? And then I look back and I was like, dude, you can make that now. 9 clients, 3 times a week, 85 to 65 an hour. You can make that now. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And then they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you can do that. And it gives this clear expectation that you can provide that type of lifestyle for them.
That's minimal work. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's
you
not
could have
even
a side hustle with that.
Yeah. And it just breaks my heart that sometimes it's not even communicated. It's like, of course we can do that. This is what you need to do. If you do this, you're going to be taking care of X amount of people. It's a triple win. And I think it's one thing that I had to learn the hard way. It was like, I had to eventually find the balance of when is it, have you ever came into a business and were like, you guys are not even charging enough. You guys are not even profitable. You ever been to a business like that?
I don't know if not charging enough was a thing, but more so like buying things at an extreme price.
Okay.
When it's like, you know, like you come into a business and like they're the business getting taken advantage of.
They're overspending, yeah.
By the sales company or by the vendor or whatever. You walk in and it's like, you guys are paying what for this? You know? It's like,
you don't need to do that.
Things are going to change, you know?
Okay.
And they're like, you can get it for this price? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, you handle all of that now.
Yeah. And I think that's the value of having massive amounts of different companies and seeing that. I think acquisition gets a bad rap, but then a lot of these companies that are acquiring other companies just see the bigger picture and they're looking out for you. Not just the actual just numbers. They're like, dude, you're just overspending. You can actually be more profitable if you just switch to this type of method.
Well, and the thing is like, we work with doctors, right?
Yeah.
And doctors are good at operating. Yeah. They're surgeons.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want them having to nickel and dime with sales guys. Like that's not their personality, and it's not what they should do.
They're healers, a lot of them.
Yeah, they're healers. They're, you know, they're focused on what they do best.
Yeah.
And that's what they should be focused on.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we basically would just come in and we just want the doctors to do what they're good at. We don't want them to have to worry and stress about employees, hiring, firing, you know, doing all, you know, setting up
margins,
setting up health insurance accounts, like doing all this stuff. It's like, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Just do what you do best. Just make patients feel better.
Yeah.
You know, treat them well, and, you know, have some, you know,
yeah,
Hippocratic oath. Just do your thing, man.
Dude, and that's like because we talk about coaches. The best coaches will delete everything that is unnecessary for the result that the person is just performing at their highest level. And I think that's often seen in the leadership in the coaching world. Just you don't need to do that. I want you to do the best as what you can do, and let everything else should be delegated. Everything else should be delegated to a person that loves that one, but also is the best at that.
Yeah, and is also, ready to handle all of that. Running its own practice and like for the doctor is just, it's so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when it's big.
Yeah.
You have 80 patients come in there a day. It's like, there's no way that you could be a doctor and then handle all of that other stuff. There's just no way.
That's crazy.
You'd be working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Do you ever see doctors just burn out over time?
No, honestly, I not me personally. No, I mean they're very highly functioning individuals.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and they're really good.
That's how their school was too. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of relatable to pro sports because they were in a grind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a grind, med school. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Dude, I know some of my buddies. I was like,
yeah. I mean,
you had what? How many hours of sleep?
Yeah.
Like 2 hours? It's like,
yeah. I mean, they're highly functioning individuals, and they're very smart, very cerebral. They're not all the same, obviously, but
yeah. So you never got to see that. They were just
I haven't really. I mean, I've seen them get tired in a day, but not burnt out.
Isn't that nuts? I think it's just the reset of expectations of what pro level is like.
Yeah.
So you can do something so hard that hard for a lot of people is actually just easy for you. I think that's just another underlining thing that pro level stuff can do.
Yeah.
Which makes it bliss. Like for me, 8 hours, dude.
Yeah.
Vacation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
I haven't even had my second coffee yet.
Dude, I know. So that is like, that's my worst case scenario. I always tell, like, what would happen if you just all of a sudden just lost everything? I was like, dude, I'd be working that's a dream. 9 to 5, probably make even more. Don't even have to deal with. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I just, the employee mindset of like, I'm clocking in and, once I clock out, like I'm not working anymore.
There's peace to that. Yeah. For me.
I mean, I get, yeah, not for me. I couldn't do that.
That's why I'm not doing it. But that is really the worst case scenario for you and also for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't ever want to have to do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather work 6 to 6.
Yeah. Yeah. And be incentivized to grow something at a scale that no one can even see. Can understand.
I mean, it is an awesome thing. I've learned so much about myself. And I've just became a better person. I've become a better professional, I bring more value in many different avenues of life now because of this, because, it's also cool being in the healthcare world because like it's surrounded around helping people and, and that's really all we want to do at the end of the day is just help more people.
That's so true.
And it's it's great.
I love it. Okay, final question, because I always ask this at the end. What are some of the, I guess you work with practitioners, but practitioners, I also call them coaches in some form or leaders in some form. What makes like really dangerously good practitioners compared to practitioners that are like just not effective at all?
I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I mean, it's really just about how much they care.
I just talked to Mark. He said the same exact thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's all it boils down to.
So what kind of actions are they doing when they're caring more?
They just, I mean, how many times have you been to I don't know if you've been to a lot of doctors, but I've gone to a doctor and you go in there
I've been
and
to a few, yeah.
and it's just like, what's wrong? Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, you actually did more than some of my doctors. You looked at me in the eyeball. Some
Yeah.
of them don't even look.
Yeah. I mean,
They're like,
it's just,
here, take this 2 times a day. See you later, man.
Yeah.
Peace.
I know. It's
Sad.
And so our whole model is our practitioners, if you're a new patient, they spend 45 minutes with you.
Wow.
45 minutes.
Okay.
So when you're coming in there, like, you're being seen. Like, they're going to look at everything. They're going to ask you every question.
Yeah.
They're going to explain everything about the anatomy of the problem you're dealing with. And, and you're not going to, the one thing you're going to say when you leave is they didn't spend enough time with me. That's never going to happen.
Wow.
And patients really appreciate it.
Dude, it's huge.
Because, I mean, like, I remember when I hurt my foot and I went to the doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't touch it.
Yeah.
He literally looked at it like this, like I was a leper. It's like, he's like, yeah, x-ray.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you.
What did I do when I looked at your ankle?
When you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I looked at the whole thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to just like to see where it was swelling.
Yeah, you were like, you were touching on it. You were like,
yeah,
we should wrap it, get some of that swelling out of there, I mean, it's like, go to a doctor who specializes in it and they look at me and go x-ray. I'm like,
come on, man.
How much do you actually care? Like, you don't even want to like see me stand on it or walk or see how my foot is or hit it with the vibration palette or whatever they do. Like,
they didn't do nothing.
So it's just like it gets frustrating because I feel like, and I don't 100% feel like it's their fault,
right?
Because I feel like they become desensitized because most practices are in this volume model where it's just see as many people as you can in one day.
And then bill their insurance.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, this guy's seeing 60 people today in an 8-hour window.
Yeah.
It's like you have 5 minutes max with every patient.
Yeah.
You still got to eat lunch. You still got to go to the bathroom. You still got to do all your medical charting for the insurance. You still got to do all your billing. So it's like, dude, they're put in a situation where they can't spend time with you.
And dude, I think this is what makes you really good at your job. You can almost empathize and you get it. Because I can't imagine the most I can see is like 6 to 8 clients and I pour all in.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I'm just like, oh God, I sent it. So there's part of it. Now I'm actually seeking it. I was like, okay, if they're doing 60, part of it's just protecting their soul. 15 minutes every single time. If they put any effort onto someone that's just a dark soul and they have to do it Monday through Friday, 365 days, 52 days a week.
It's really not feasible.
It's not really feasible. So that model, it's good people in broken systems. But also, if they actually are good people and they fix the systems, I think that's when you have a 10x type of company.
Yeah.
Right.
But it comes down to the model.
Right.
Like, the person who is running that clinic, they're on the volume model and telling them that you need to lower the volume to help patient experience, overall care. I mean, they probably don't care.
Yeah.
They're just looking at the numbers.
That's what breaks my heart,
man. But that's probably what they're being paid to do.
Right.
They're probably being paid to just look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier to be cutthroat when you're not sitting in the clinic,
yeah,
watching these people get poor care.
Right.
It's easy to just be like, no, you're seeing 60 people a day.
Yeah. That's what breaks my heart. Are there models that low volume, higher margins? Lower volume or like a balance in between?
Yeah, there are. I mean, that's our model.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not technically low volume, but considered to what they're used to, it's considered low volume.
Yeah.
From a provider standpoint, like, these people are used to seeing 25 to 40 people a day, and now they're seeing 10.
That's what I'm
11.
saying. Yeah.
But the patient experience is much better.
Yeah.
And the outcome is better, and
the margins are bigger, the value of the companies are bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, that's why you guys are disrupting a little bit of that market.
Yeah, and it's just a lot more manageable. I mean, when you're seeing that many patients back to back to back to back, you know, your lobby becomes a nightmare. You know, your intake becomes a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, the triage is hard. It's like it becomes a zoo.
Dude, you just talked about my whole model. At one point, I had a gym that was probably pushing about 250 to 300 members. It was in the volume model.
Mm-hmm.
Everything broke. Like the coaches weren't providing the same amount of value. Things were breaking a little bit more. It's just there started to be more stress in like community problems because it was just so cliquish and like all of these things, and it broke. And I was always looking at the numbers of like that. That's how I was like, okay, my company is doing really well. I got 300 plus members. And then I looked at the bottom line and then the profit margin, and it was like in the negatives. And dude, my company now is less than that. We have almost half the amount of members, but our margin's almost like doubled and tripled.
Yeah.
Which is sad sometimes.
I mean, sometimes less is more.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe my mom said all of these like less is more.
My mom used to say that to me all the time
Yeah.
at the dinner table.
It's like, no, it's not. Don't put your eggs in one basket. A lot of these sayings are true because there's truth to it. We get
there is.
desensitized a little bit, but there's serious truth to it.
And I wish I would have listened more.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But you weren't ready.
But you don't learn that way.
I know.
So
you got to have the shock first to happen.
Yeah, you do.
Right? The acceptance,
the denial,
the curiosity, the confusion component, and then growth happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the underlining theme to kind of what you've been explaining. So, dude, thank you for your time.
Of course.
I'm pumped for you sharing some of those principles. Yeah. And in the event that I buy somebody out, I'm just going to be like, all right, here we go. I'm going to go clean the dishes.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
that is. Right into it. And then I'll just wait and be like, okay, how long? I think there's a sense of peace when you're doing it over and over and over and over and over again. Do you even get stressed out knowing that there's that curve now?
No. Now I just accept it. From the beginning.
You skip denial.
I skip it all now.
Wow.
But I used to not. Like I used to take it personal, you know. I'd walk in there and these people would be
leaving,
mean for no reason, quitting for no reason, rude for no reason, and abrasive, and
yeah.
I used to be like, wow, like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
You know? Now I just understand that they're hurt, you know. They just need some time. They're in the shock denial stage, and they just need some time to relax. They need to be talked to. They need to also see that you're here to help, and you're here to lead by example and willing to do things that, you know, they probably weren't even willing to do. And once they see that, that's kind of when things start to change.
Dude, it got to be extremely disarming when someone goes in and they're just like, oh, I get it, man. Yeah, no, it's no problem. I get it. Dude, I'd be like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And I think at that state, things transform much faster. So for those of you guys that are listening to this right now, and if you want to skip that shock and all of those stuff, you have to accept it yourself. You can skip all of those phases, and then you could probably streamline the time it takes to go from 0 to leading a really, really thriving team. If you just accepted it at the start.
Yeah.
And it's a game changer.
It definitely is, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often.
I love it.
But it could.
Nugget bomb. See you guys later. Peace.